Hey, welcome back to gggaming, and it's here, the 5-star special Paradox Pokemon Raid event for Fluttermane and Iron Jugulis. In this video, we're going to go through all the details on these guys. We're going to go through exactly how the raid works, what the stats are, what their moves are, and how you can best prepare the proper counters to get the most out of this one weekend only event. Stick around, and let's get to it. All right, first things first, as always, to the summary. So we'll go through both of these Pokemon kind of together since they are both part of the same event, but they are restricted to each game in which that they actually live, So Iron Jugulis is in Violet, where Fluttermane is in the Scarlet game. So depending on which one you're playing, you're only going to encounter these raids in that respective game. Overall, this is what to expect. They're going to have varying Tera types. So we see this Iron Jugulis here has got a random one of fighting. That just means I caught him in a fighting 5-star Tera raid, where the this Fluttermane actually was in a fairy raid, oddly enough, because he is fairy. So that's more the ideal typing for him. So don't even have to change him. But otherwise, in order to get the other one, you're actually going to have to do an online raid. So in order for me to get this Fluttermane that I have right here in front of me, this guy, I had to actually do an online raid. Okay, not too hard to join an online raid, but you unfortunately do have to pay for the Nintendo Online services to do that. So I kind of wish the game would bring these across a little more freely without having the raid restriction to onlines only. But it is what it is. We do see in the mass outbreak event that is happening right now that we can capture the other games versions. So it's surprising they didn't do the same for these Paradox Pokemon, just to give us a little easier time getting in and farming the other one if we do need it for our Pokédex or we want to build these. So let's get into the actual details and talk about the moves that they have and the stats of each one, as we always do. So for Iron Jugulis, what you can expect in this one is he's going to have this move set right here. So Dark Pulse, Air Slash, Earth Power, and Heat Wave. He's also going to have a couple added moves, or coded moves, as I like to call them, and I'll put up a chart and show you what those are as well. Those will be Electric Train and Snarl, and we're going to see that very similar to Fluttermane when we talk about him, that they have that terrain or weather type move that's associated with their Paradox ability. And we'll talk about that in just a second, but first things first, let's cover the actual move set for each one so that you understand what to expect. For Iron Jugulis, you've got Dark Pulse and Air Slash, both special moves, as well as Earth Power and Heat Wave. Okay, all special. So everything you're going up against with both of these Pokemon is actually going to be special moves. So bring Pokemon to the fight that are good against special or have high special defense. All right, Fluttermane being one of which has a great special defense. So if you do capture one of those, you can build it and use it in these raids pretty consistently. Overall, when it comes to the move pool, there's not too much to worry about. These are only 5-star raids, but given their boost of their ability, and let's talk about that. Let's go ahead and talk about the abilities while we're there. You got Quark Drive for the Paradox that are in the Violet game, which means they function based on electric terrain. Okay, so when electric terrain goes down, the Pokemon's most proficient stat, so whatever the highest stat is, gets boosted. In this case, with these, it's going to be the special attack, and for both of them. The difference is for Fluttermane, Fluttermane gets photosynthesis, which is going to be triggered by sunlight, which Fluttermane will use when it first comes into the battle, as well as Iron Jugulis. It will use electric terrain, but we'll get to that when we actually go through the flow of the raid. So stick around and we'll talk about exactly how that works. All right, for Fluttermane, his move pool is going to be Shadow Ball, Moonblast, Power Gem, Icy Wind, along with a couple added moves, which are going to be, of course, Sunny Day, which I already talked about, and then Dazzling Gleam. So he already gets Moonblast, which is a huge hitting fairy type move, which is really hard, and it lowers your special attack, as I've got circled there. Potentially lowers your special attack, which could hurt if you're using a special attack Pokemon. But overall, Fluttermane, I think of the two, is the harder hitting Pokemon, hands down. Fluttermane gets access to that additional Dazzling Gleam, plus the Moonblast, plus Shadow Ball, which has the ability to lower the special defense. As for Power Wind or Power Gem and Icy Wind, and not too bad. I mean, there's no added effect on Power Gem, and then Icy Wind is only dropping the speed, but it's got a weak power and it even has the potential to miss. So nothing too crazy there you got to worry about. Flutter Mane by and far, I think, is the harder hitting of the two. So be careful with those fairy type moves and those ghost type moves when you're setting up your typing for these Pokemon based on what you're doing. Just be careful because he will hit like a truck if you let him. Next, let's talk about the stats. Okay, so for Iron Jugulis and his stats, this is what you have to work with. These are the raid standard versions that I have and I'm showing you here. So these are the stats as they are in the raid. Obviously, special attack is what he's going to hit you with. All right. When it comes to the defensive stats, he's kind of even. All right. So he's even in here with special defense and defense. You don't have to worry about that too much. You're going to be welcome to use both physical and special Pokemon against this raid, and they'll kind of be equally as effective. You just want to make sure whatever you use, you're setting it up in a way that is kind of super effective to whatever the Tera raid is you're going against, etc. But we'll talk about that more when we get into the raid flow. As for Flutter Mane with the stats, it looks a little different. They're a little more tipped over here to the left side, if you will, to the special side, as compared to Iron Jugulis, which is more centralized. So Iron Jugulis is kind of centralized into the middle for the stat pool, where Flutter Mane is very much on the left side of the spectrum. What does that mean? Well, that means Flutter Mane is going to take more damage from your physical attackers. So my recommendation for Flutter Mane is bring the punch, bring the physical attack, all right? Bring that guy that's going to hit with the attack because his defense stat right here is lower. So that's going to be my recommendation when handling Flutter Mane. Bring something that's resistant to his attacks, so resistant to that fairy, that ghost. Those are kind of the two premier attacks that he's going to hit you with. And we'll talk about what those are here shortly, but otherwise, use those physical. You can get away with the special defense side. You're just not going to do as much damage because the special defense on Flutter Mane is higher. So be cautious of that. All right, now that we are pros when it comes to the moves and the stats with both Flutter Mane and Iron Jugulis, let's get into this. Let's talk about the raid flow. So we'll actually go into an Iron Jugulis raid and show you these things happening as we talk about it so that you can get a little better feel. I will put a chart up here next to the raid from Cerebi that will actually show the progression of the raid flow, but let's get into it. We're going to do this solo with Terapagos, which is just, one of my favorite if you've watched any of my videos. He works really, really well in these raids. So let's get to it. All right, we're in. So what to understand and what to expect from these raids is on turn 0. So that means before I get to make a move, both Iron Jugulis as well as Flutter Mane will do their respective either terrain or weather pattern moves. So right there we see the electric terrain go down. So that is turn 0. Nothing you can do about that. That's going to happen. That will also activate their abilities that we discussed. So you see Quirk Drive there, which is going to boost his special attack stat. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that. It doesn't show it because it's part of his ability, but you get the idea. All right. I'm going to use Terapagos, as always, so you could do this build. This is the standard build as part of the larger build guide that I've got for him. I encourage you to go check that out. I'll link it below if you are wanting to know what it is. But I'm just going to run Dragon Pulse, which I intentionally switched up just for this because it was a Dragon raid. And we'll see just how easy this is. So after turn 0, the next thing to expect is at 75% HP, so about right there-ish, they will do another move. So for Iron Jugulis in front of me, he is going to do Snarl. For Flutter Mane, we'll do Dazzling Gleam, okay? So Snarl will actually drop my special attack stat once, which does hurt Terapagos because Terapagos is a special attack focused Pokemon, but I've also got Calm Mind, so I can just cancel it out. I'll use that Calm Mind and I'll get my special attack back. And there it is. There's the Snarl, as stated. Missed it, didn't get to circle it, so there goes my special attack. So that's the 75% move. After that, the next thing to look forward to is at 50% HP. Okay, so we're going to mark that up there, 50% HP. It will clear his own stats. So if I had done anything to drop his own stats, whether it was Acid Spray to drop the defense, etc., he's going to clear all that off. All right, so any negative effects, he's going to clear at 50%. And then you'll have to either reapply those or just continue the raid and don't worry about it. So we got our Calm Mind back up, so that erases the Snarl he used on me. So let's get back in here and get our Terralize up. Now, he is going to steal one of your Tera Orb charges at 40%. So that's about right here at that R. So you want to make sure you get your Terralization up before that. Otherwise, you're going to have to do 4 moves. But as you see, I'm having no issue at all being able to get my Terra type up. My Terra typing is there. Go ahead and Terralize, and from there, I'm going to go just throw another Calm Mind for fun. This is nothing you have to worry about, these being only 5-star raids. If you build your Terapagos in the way that I have, like we're following my build guide, he's going to have no issue at all taking this Pokemon out, as well as Fluttermane, consistently. So, you want a one and done? It's Terapagos. Terapagos is a great option. And Terapagos' ability erased electric terrain, so it's gone. Not that it would have only been there one more turn anyways, but still fun. Makes him just a little bit weaker, plus my stats got boosted. Otherwise, next thing to expect, as I said, we are looking for the 50% reduction or reset of his stats. I don't believe we've seen that yet, so let's go ahead and hit the Tera Starstorm and force that. We will also force the 40% Tera Orb charge erase, which is irrelevant because we've already Terralized. So, all right, there goes 50%, no problem. And I believe we pushed 40% as well. Yep, because there's the Tera Orb. And removing his stats. So we pushed 40 and 50% in one attack. After that, the next one on the list is going to be the player's stats. So our stats. He is going to reset my stats at 25%. So about right there. Maybe a little bit up. You get the idea. But it's irrelevant. I'm not using anything that has boosted myself. I use the one Calm Mind to erase his Snarl. Other than that, I don't need anything else. This is a pretty clear, easy win for Terapagos. And that's what I wanted you to see. Just the flow of how he works, and how the flow of both of them work. They will both work exactly the same way. There goes the clearing of my stats, which will be the last thing he does. From there, this is a simple win. And there you have it. Iron Jugulis down. Really no stress at all with Terapagos. So hey, if this was helpful, as always, drop a like, hit the sub button, and we'll see you in the next one.